Hi, I'm Dr. Allison with Premier Health Chiropractic, and we are going to go over our posture exercises today. First, we're going to start with how you can make sure you're using the right size physio ball so that you're not overworking your back or straining because it's too small. So you're going to use the alignment of where your knee is. So when you go to the gym or you're buying one, you always want to make sure that when the ball comes and you're measuring it, that it's hitting right around that knee joint. For me, that's a 65 centimeter, and then here's the 55, which is just a little bit lower. So I could use either one and see which one fits my body better. I have found that doing certain exercises, it's less straining if I use the larger size, which just hits a little bit above my knee, versus the 55, which hits just right at my knee joint. So if you find that you could use either size, then just do the exercises with each one and see which feels more comfortable for your body. We're going to go through our posture exercises, and I'm going to explain proper setup. If you have a hard time, some modifications, as well as doing the advanced positions. So we'll start. The first exercise is with you face down on your tummy. Now, we always recommend kneeling behind the ball and then laying over the ball in a push-up position and getting yourself centered on the ball. You want the ball more like mid to low tummy or mid to high tummy and chest. If it's down on the hips, then it's going to be too far too low, and you definitely do not want it up high here in between your arms. If you have a hard time with your knees getting on the ball, you can sometimes just squat and then lay on the ball like a frog and then extend the legs out that direction as well too. When you're starting out with the first exercise, you want your hands under your shoulders and you want your feet hip width apart. Now, if you're pretty uncomfortable and wobbly, especially as you start to do the exercise, you can separate your hands and feet wider for that balance and then work on bringing them into that shoulder and hip width apart. How you do the exercise is you're going to lift your opposite arm and hand up, and your head is going to follow the hands as they move up and down. Right hand with left leg, left hand with right leg. And you're going to breathe normally through each exercise. One hand up equals one repetition, and we're working on 3 sets of 10. So one hand is going to go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you keep counting to 10. If that's pretty comfortable for you, advanced is going to be your hands and feet touching, so it makes a smaller base, and you would do the same movements. And count the same. Coming back up, you just roll back onto your knees, and then you're going to roll the ball back behind you and sit closer to a farther wall. If there's no walls that are too close to you, if you're in a gym or at the house, then you just want to make sure you have a pretty good distance in front of you from where you're starting. This exercise is with us face up to work the core muscles a little bit more. When you start, you want your knees hip width apart. So as you walk out, you're going to help balance yourself by holding onto the ball, and you slowly walk out and let your back roll up against the ball and stop when your head and shoulders are on the ball. You don't want to be too far like this unless you have some neck injury or a fusion. You don't want to put too much strain on that area. Then you want to be a little bit more on your shoulders than on the shoulder and neck, balancing the weight of both. Look down and make sure that your knees are still in line with your hips, so you don't want them flaring out or flaring in. And you want to make sure that your feet are out far enough so that when you go to arch up, your knees are not coming over your ankles. So if your feet are too close when you're down this way and you go to arch up, then your knees come over your ankles, and that's going to put a lot of strain on your knee joints. So step those feet out just a little bit and make sure everything's in line with your hips. Now, if you're pretty wobbly here, you can separate your feet a little bit wider for more balance. I recommend just trying to put your hands down so that you're not putting extra strain on your hips, and then you can do the exercise that way. And as you get more balance, then you just bring your hands up onto your hips and do the exercise this way. Now, you want to be careful with your breathing because it will help with your back balancing. So when you drop your hips down to the floor, you're going to breathe out. Make sure you keep your head pushing into the ball so it doesn't roll away. And breathe in as you arch and lift up. You want to make sure the ball does not move during this exercise. If you're doing the exercise and your ball is doing this motion, that means you're working your quads and not your back with just your hips moving up and down. So again, 3 sets of 10. So you would breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in, that's 2. Breathe out. Breathe in, 3. Breathe out. Breathe in, 4. Breathe out. Breathe in, 5. Breathe out. And you continue to 10. Now, if that's pretty comfortable for your back, advanced is where you're just going to arch up higher. So you breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. If that's pretty comfortable where your shoulders are somewhat coming off the ball, you can work on arching up to where your head's almost coming up to the ball and back down. And that's really going to start working those neck muscles as well. Then you just walk yourself back onto the ball up to that sitting position when you're done with your set of 10. The next exercise is going to look just like the first one. You're going to roll the ball back in front of you, kneel over the ball, and do a push-up position. Again, making sure that your hands are under your shoulders and your feet are hip width apart. And then you, again, want to make sure that the ball is not too far up on your armpits or too far down on your hips, that it's right in that middle rib cage area. On this one, we're going to do, if you're familiar with yoga, it's kind of like a downward dog and upward facing dog motion. You want to put your hands on the ball to help with stabilization. If you have any shoulder or elbow discomfort, sometimes a wrist discomfort, you can bring them down a little bit lower instead of here on the sides for balance. Also, what you want to do is make sure that your legs stay completely locked. If your legs are weak, when you go to do the motion, they'll want to bend, and that's going to make it really hard to keep that strengthening in your back. So you're going to start out by looking up and arching up, breathing in, and then breathing out, keeping those legs locked and lifting the bottom up into the air. So it's like a little teeter-totter, breathing in and breathing out. In and out. Now sometimes what happens is when you come up, you want to do a push-up and use your arms. You're wanting to use just your back for this exercise, because advanced is where your hands are on your back and you're not using your hands at all. So it looks just like this, breathing in and breathing out. And if you, again, still very unstable, you can separate your feet a little bit wider. The goal is to keep them around that hip width apart. If that's still very unstable, to get the idea and the motion, you can put your hands down and do that motion with your hands down until you feel comfortable that your body is getting stronger. If you choose to start here, make sure you're still putting your body weight on the ball so that your muscles are still having to engage with that action. So again, breathing and counting. It's going to be breathing in, 1, breathing out. Breathing in, 2, breathing out. 3, 4, 5. And again, you're going to go to 10 and not just stop at 5. And advanced would again look like this. Breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, and breathing out. And then knees down and roll up off the ball. Last is we do a side plank. So that one's not too complicated compared to what you've been doing, but we use the ball to, again, give that extra stability. So make sure you have enough room between where the ball is and where your feet are going to go. The easiest is to lay your hip onto the ball and then lay yourself over so that your hand is going to be under your shoulder when you come up onto your side. And then you put your feet out. You can stagger them at first and hold your position this way if you need it for extra balance. You want to make sure your arm is on your side and that everything is nice and straight with your hip and your shoulder. Sometimes we want to roll forward or bend at the waist, and that's not going to give us the support, and we're not going to get the benefit of the exercise. If this feels pretty comfortable for you and you're not really having to struggle, then you just put one foot on top of the other and balance that direction as well too. You're going to hold this for 30 to 60 seconds, and then after that, you just switch to the other side. The easiest is just to put your body down, flip, hip into the ball, Arm down so that your shoulder's over your wrist. Stagger those feet if you need to get set. If that's pretty comfortable, then slide that foot in and put the other one on top of it, and then hold that position 30 to 60 seconds. Just breathing normally through these exercises. All right. That's it for the exercises. Again, you're going to do 3 sets of 10. So if I would have done 10, 10, 10, and 10, then and the last one is 30 to 60 seconds, then I'm going to repeat and do the next all 4 of those exercises 2 more times, 10 sets each. If you do 1 set of 30, you're not getting the cardio workout that you can get with the exercise by doing 3 sets of 10. So that's why we recommend that. Usually it should take you around 10 to 15 minutes to do the 3 sets of 10. If that's pretty comfortable, you can work up to 3 sets of 15 and 3 sets of 20. At that point, you're getting a pretty good workout, so you can just stop at that 3 sets of 20. Again, if you have any questions, you can email me, doctor@vabeachchiro.com. That's doctor@vabeachchiro.com. Thank you. I'm Dr. Allison with Premier Health Chiropractic, and these are your posture exercises.